Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I apologize, it might be dark in here, but I just want to make a video about life update, also mental health update. So I did get the dog ordinance passed in my hometown, so that was exciting, but also awful because the ordinance does not really protect service dogs, and it's a whole thing. But basically, I've been advocating for a new ordinance with our town, and it did pass finally, but it's not where it should be. I'm not gonna get into the whole story, but honestly, like, people are like, you should be proud you did this, and I'm like, no, like, I'm not proud because all of the crap that I've had to put up with because of this is ridiculous. Like, literally, people were throwing corn at my house because they didn't agree with me about the whole dog ordinance thing, and I'm like, guys, like, keep your dog on a leash, like, come on. So it's been fun. Mentally, it's not been fun at all. There was a person who told me I should, if I didn't agree with the way things ran in my town, that I should just leave town or commit suicide. So that was fun. As a person who has tried to do that once, I don't take that lightly. That was very harsh, and it took me a long time to get over that because, I mean, as someone who has, an aborted attempt before, like, whenever something stressful comes up, that's my first thing is I'm like, oh, well, I could just do this, and there you go, and, like, I know that's not healthy, but that's where I am. And so, being real with you all on this channel, I've struggled with that, it's been an issue. I've been on, like, a lot of different medications to, like, suppress those feelings and just deal with depression, because honestly, like, I was doing life, but I didn't feel like doing it. Like, I was like, oh, I have to go do something because people are gonna be like, what are you doing, but I didn't want to do it. Like, I wasn't enjoying my life. And so these medications that I'm on now, like, I feel like, and it's taken like months for me to get on these, but now that I'm on these that work for me, like, I have more energy, I have more passion for life, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, I actually want to do something. I don't just want to be like, I'm gonna just lay here all day. I didn't, because I'm a very, I worry about what other people think about me a lot. So I was like, man, I'm depressed, but I can't show it because if I show it, then people are gonna be like, what's wrong with you? So I literally just, like, did life, but I hated it. So anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna talk about suicide on this video, and I apologize if this triggers you. If it does, please don't watch this. But I mean, it has been appealing multiple times, and I've learned how to manage it, and I'm going to share with you all some of the tips of how I've learned to manage my suicidal ideation / thoughts / plans. I even made a Quizlet because I was like, man, I need to make, like, a multiple choice test so I can gauge my suicidal ideation on a scale of, like, 1 to 10. So what I did is, so the method I chose was pills, okay? So I have all the medications that I'm on in a giant, well, they're in a bag, but they are in a specific place that I cannot reach without, like, a lot of effort on my part. So, I only keep, like, the ones that I need, like, for the day. I have one of those little pillbox things, so I keep them in there. And that's because I need that extra time. If that extra time, the extra effort it takes to get them will stop me from doing it, then that works for me. So I have myself physically separated from them. I also have a list. So on my list, there's things like level 1. So let's say level 1 is just like me thinking suicide is appealing. So level 1 would be distraction ideas. So I distract my mind until, sorry, I'm gonna make sure I'm still recording. I distract myself until I can function, because, basically what happens is your brain is hijacked and you're like, this is my only option, and nothing else registers in your head. So I don't do that. I distract myself as best I can. Apologize, I'm trying to, there we go, trying to adjust the camera. So, also, I have that, I have a whole list, like, it's literally, like, knitting, going outside, getting ice cubes, like, something to break the tension that I feel with this. So then I also have, like, if they get more intense, because I'm a researcher, I like to research things, so sometimes I find myself researching, like, different methods, and there's a lot on the internet out there, so, if you're in a bad place, don't look at the internet, like, seriously, like, I turn my phone on airplane mode sometimes, because I want to do that, and I'm like, nope, I don't need to know, because it gets really bad, it gets really, really bad really quickly. So I tend to research things, so on my list of level 2 is my bucket list, so it's all the things I want to do in my life, even if I can't afford them, like, things like crazy, like, I want to go to Broadway, and I want to go, sing in the middle of a public street, well, not in the middle, because I want to be able to not die, but I want to go sing on a street corner, and just see what happens. That's, like, one of my crazy dream fantasy things, so, I have all that on the list, and so I go to that list when I want to research other things, and I say, okay, I'm going to research how much it would cost to go to Broadway, how much would it cost, what would I see, and I come up with all these different things that I have to answer, and, it gets me in that research mode, but I'm not researching death, so, I also have a list of theological Bible questions that I ask myself, things like, that have popped up over time, and I'm just like, let's research this, let's see what, where I can find this, like, for example, gotta think of some. I have like a whole list of questions, but for a long time I didn't understand why the priests needed bells in the Old Testament whenever they entered the tabernacle of God, because like God knows they're there. They don't need bells. God's not gonna be like, oh no, your bell didn't jingle, you're not here, because they wore them on their tunics. Well, then I realized it was the people. The bells were not for God; they were for the people, because they needed to hear that the priest didn't die, because when they would see God's face, they would die. So they needed to hear the bells jingle, and that meant they were still alive. So that was a whole like hour-long research project. But that's all it takes, just a little bit of time just to break up the stress and tension and remind you that there's other things in life, not just suicide. So that's how I deal with like the research stage of planning slash trying not to plan. And if it gets more intense, this is like level 3. So this is like I have a plan, I have a purpose, like all these things. When it gets like overwhelming, I have a list of that too. So my list is call my therapist, or the place that I receive mental health services, or the suicide lifeline, which is 988, or the online chat. I like those better because they can't like they can't trace you and be like, oh no, you're and also on that list is removing myself from the environment. So if that means going outside at 2 in the morning, that's what I do, because I don't want to do something I'll regret, And also is the excuse me, some books that I put on my list of things I need to look at when I get this frantic. So one of them I'm going to post in the link, in the description link, excuse me. It's called Suicide, the Forever Decision. It's by Paul, I think his name is Paul Gannett, but I'll have to check. But it's on NLS Bard if you're a Bard member of National Library Service, or if you're on Internet Archive, they have like a section you can get. If you log in with your NLS membership or your Bookshare membership, you can get access to accessible files. So I love the Internet Archive. They have it available there. They also have it available at the link I'm going to share, and they also have a YouTube link of an audio. I mean, it's an audio video, but I don't know if there's a video part. And literally, like, I'm a Christian. I always lean on the Bible for things, but this book, man, like, it's great. Like, it's honestly, he writes it to the person that is at that point. He literally says, hey, I know you want to do this, so you can still do it after you get done reading this book, but what do you have to lose? Just read this book, you know. And he's very direct, he's very blunt, which I love, because if you're in that stage, you need that bluntness, because if you don't, you're just gonna be like, it doesn't matter, I don't care. So, you know, definitely considering this guy, like, he's a therapist. I don't know if he's like, I think he's a psychologist as well, or excuse me, psychiatrist. I'm not really sure. Anyway, he's like very open, and like he has all these questions, and the questions are things that you would ask as a attempted suicide. I don't want to say survivor, because you haven't really survived it, but I guess it's trying to attempt suicide. These questions are like, you know, you have all these things in your head, and your head's like, well, nobody would miss you if you died, or nobody's life would change if you died. And he was like, well, here you go. And he goes about like proving all of these things wrong, you know, because in your mind you have all these like stressful things and worrying things, and you're just like, man, no one cares. And he's like, someone in the world cares about you, even if it's like the lady that you walked past the, you know, held the door open for at the Walmart, or, you know, someone's gonna notice. And regardless of if you don't have family or you don't have friends, you know, someone's gonna miss you, someone's gonna know. So I really enjoyed it. I did not have this book the months ago whenever I don't think I did. I might have had this book, I don't remember, but I don't think I did. But then a couple times after that, when it got really intense, I would read this book, and I was like, wow, this guy's got it going on. So yeah, I've struggled mentally recently. Just, I mean, people have been like crazy. Like, we literally had people like throw corn at our house for no reason. We had, you know, someone literally saying in a public meeting that I should go commit suicide. Like, okay, I'm not gonna be offended at that at all. You know, and it was just, it was getting very intense, and mentally I just struggle. There was a person who got right in my face and yelled at me, because they didn't agree with me, and when I tried to walk away, they grabbed my shoulder and like turned me towards them. And I have PTSD from an assault, and so I don't like being touched by men, especially. And so whenever he grabbed my shoulder, I was like, nope. So then like 5 seconds later, I'm like 10 feet away, and I'm like, how did I get here? It was very terrifying. It was, honestly, I want to say a trigger, because like, seriously, like, I was like standing next to this guy, and the next thing I know, I'm like 10 feet away, and I'm like, whoa. Excuse me. So yeah, so I told you all I would be real on this channel, and part of that is PTSD and triggers and suicidal ideation and depression and just like all these things. So someday, eventually, I'll get around to telling you all about my whole experience with an assault and everything. And I do want to tell you all about that someday, but today is not the day. So when it happens, I will tell you. But I do want to bring awareness to these issues, you know, because I've been blind my whole life, and so everyone's like, oh, you want to commit suicide because you're blind. And I'm like, no. Like, that's not why. Like, blindness is difficult sometimes, but like, there's other reasons why, you know. So I just want to bring that awareness. And it is really hard as a person with a disability to get mental health treatment, because like for me, I am terrified of going to a psychiatric unit, because they're for sighted people. You know, everything is print. They won't let you have a cane because it's a weapon. They won't let you have a braille display because it's a weapon. Like, all these things. And mentally, like, I would be worse off there, because they're like not for blind people. I honestly wish we could start one that was just for blind people, or just for like different disability groups. Because like as the world is created for sighted people, so is the mental health world. They don't, like, even the apps that I look at, like, they'll have these ones for, like, breathing and, like, calming and all these things, and it'll be like, here's this calming video, watch the video, and I'm like, I can't see the video, what's happening, you know, and I have no idea. So, I think there needs to be more apps, more self-help that's for the blind / disabled. I mean, disability definitely plays a role in trauma and in mental health, but it also makes it a lot harder because, you know, like I said, everything's for sighted people. Like, when I went to my therapist, the first time I met her, she was like, okay, we're gonna have to go over all of your paperwork that you filled out because I can't read it, because the way it was formatted was wrong. So I changed it to my braille display, and when I printed it out, it looked weird, so she couldn't read it. So we had to go through the whole thing, and I was like, this is why I write things, so I don't have to tell you in person. Like, but I had to tell her in person because she couldn't read it, so that was fun. And you know, you might not find the right person. Like, whenever you meet with someone, you might not like them at first. I'd say give it like two tries, and if you don't like them, you can get another therapist or another counselor, whatever term you prefer. But they have to listen, and that's the hard part. Like, I noticed with a lot of sighted people, they're just like, oh, you have depression? Okay, that sucks. Here, take this medicine. And I'm like, can I tell you why I'm depressed, so like we can sort that out? Because you know, a lot of time there's a reason. It's not just like you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm depressed, like the end, you know. Sorry, my camera just keeps moving. I apologize. So yeah, I am one day going to get around to telling y'all about everything, but not now. I just want to bring awareness to suicidal ideation and blindness, and if you are in a suicidal state currently when you're watching this, just think, you know, you don't have anything to lose if you just take an hour and just stop and just say, okay, I'm going to walk away from this. I can come back later if I need to. But do something enjoyable. Or, this is my favorite, someone suggested this in a group, and I was like, oh my gosh, they got it right. They said to go around the next day and pretend like you've already done it, and just see what the world's like, you know? And I was like, man, that's so true, because everyone you interact with, like, even if there's this little moment of joy that you have that next day when you're pretending like you're not there, you realize you wouldn't have that if you were dead. So, like, for example, you know, let's say I do that, and I say, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna pretend like I'm not here. So then someone comes out to my house, and they're like, hey, let's go out to dinner, and I end up laughing with them and enjoying their company. Like, if I had already done it, I wouldn't have that, you know? So, if you're at that point, and you're watching this video, take an hour, and just step away, leave the room, leave the, wherever you are, and just find something. Think about something that brings you joy, brings you pleasure, because, honestly, if that's the one thing, the only thing that's keeping you alive, if it's pasta, if you're gonna go eat pasta tomorrow at Olive Garden, if Olive Garden is the only thing keeping you alive for today, then just, that's fine, go for it, because once you do it, there's no going back, you know? And if you're absolutely certain you want to do it, what do you have to lose if you wait an hour or a day? Because that's the problem with suicidal ideation. It gets in your head, and you get in that crisis mode. That's all you can think about. You can't think about anything else. It's like your brain's like stuck on that, you know? So getting your brain out of that, even for 20 minutes to an hour, you'll find something to hold on to, because otherwise, well, you're not going to be watching this video, so, you know, if this is the video you choose to watch, just hold on, because I promise, even though me as a person who has been through this, it takes a long time to get better. Sometimes I'm still not there. Some days I'm just like, ugh, depression. But it gets easier. You get able to manage it more. Like, for example, I went to an event without Beacon, and I went with someone I didn't really know very well. And I went in there was these huge crowds of men everywhere, and they were just like all around me. And I was freaking out, but it wasn't as bad as it was last year. Last year I would have not gone at all, because I would have been like, nope, I can't handle the crowds. I probably would have been crying, honestly. And that's taken me a whole year to get to that point. So, whatever progress, even if it seems small to you, there has to be some progress. And I've had to do that myself. I've literally had to make a list of things, like, where I was before, like, let's say, like, 6 months ago. And then I'm like, man, I can do this now. Or, man, I can shake someone's hand. That was a big one, too. Shaking hands, hugging, all that was huge. I literally cried, like, my first Christmas after my assault, because I went to my dad's house, and we had to sit next to each other on this, like, to get, like, family pictures, and I was like, nope. I literally cried, and no one knew, and I was like, this is awkward, like, I'm crying at Christmas time, like, what's wrong with me? So, but this Christmas I had to laugh, because I'm like, man, guess what, I didn't cry this time, like, yay. I was able to distance myself, too, when things got really intense. I was like, I'm gonna go over here and sit on the floor, or something, you know? So, yeah, so, you know, I just want to let you all know that however tough things are right now, even if you can't see that it's going to get easier eventually, there's always something that you are doing, because it's in your nature to fight. You're a human. Everyone, like, if you were going to be trying to be drowned or something, you would fight, because you don't want to die. So it's your natural instinct as a human to not die by suicide, because you want to live. So I wish YouTube had messages, but we don't. So if you need to talk to someone, I don't know if I could be available or not, because I don't know how that works on Messenger on YouTube. But you know, they have crisis lines. It's not like they're gonna say, we're sending the cops to your house. Like, they're just gonna be like, okay, like, they're gonna get you out of your head. They're gonna ask you some questions. You're gonna kind of see where you are on the suicide spectrum of, am I gonna do it right now? Am I gonna do it in 2 days? Like, where am I? And they're gonna be calm and relaxed. They're not gonna be frantic and, like, angry and stressed. Like, if you told someone else in your family, they'd be like, what? You know? So, they're gonna be chill. And, I mean, I was at my last straw, and I called them, and I was like, I texted, I didn't call them. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. But I was like, hey, this is what's happening. I don't know what to do. That's the day I found out something really stressful in my life, and I couldn't handle it. Like, it was literally like the last straw. It was like, nope, I'm done. And just talking to this person, they were like, how's your dog? Tell me about your dog, and tell me about, like, all these different things. We talked about knitting, I think, at one point. I don't know how to knit very well, but I was like, man, I can't get my stitches right. And they were like, well, if you die, you'll never get them right. And I was like, darn, that's so true. Like, I can't believe knitting is keeping me alive, you know, like, that's crazy, but I want to get those stitches, you know, and you know, my dog, like, she's everything, you know, and I was like, man, who's gonna take care of her? Like, she's gonna be sad, because, like, literally, if I go take a shower, she's like, where'd you go, you know? So, just going about my day and seeing all these little things that, when crisis strikes, I don't think they matter, but in real life they do. Like, it's shocking, you know? So, I didn't intend to make this video today. I didn't intend to make it this long at all, but I was actually going to talk about something else totally different. But this kind of came up, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So, if you are watching this, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I am honest with you all about all of these things. which is so weird because I'm not like a public person. I don't be like, hey, this is my life, but on YouTube I'm like, yeah, here's everything, you know. I don't know if it's because this can help someone or not, but like, for real, this is a struggle of mine. It's not gone away. It's gotten easier, but it's not like gone, you know. And here, these are just some things that I do. And you know, we have like this, like these people. There's like an app, I guess. I've never found the app, but apparently there's an app you can get that says like, hey, I am struggling right now, can I call you? Or hey, can I text you? Like all these little things. I've never found the app. I don't know what it is. But I have this list of people in my Braille display. I keep it on there, my flash drive, that says, call so-and-so. Or call blah blah and tell them this. And I have it all written down because when you're in that crisis mode, you can't think of anything. Like literally, I like forgot people's phone number, you know. So I literally wrote it down and I said, okay, when I feel this way, call so and so and tell them this, and they will say. And I talk to them like when I'm not in that crisis mode. I'm like, hey, I might call you. And if you need to get away from the place, or if they need to come over and like watch you basically until you're safe, until you're in a mental state that's better than what you are now, do that, because it's frustrating, it's annoying having someone there constantly, but like, if they're concerned about you, there's a reason. And like, I hate it too, like whenever my family is here, I'm like, please go away, like I'm fine. They're like, are you? And I'm like, yes, like I am. And they're just like, and I'm like, no, seriously, I am. Like, go. So, but looking back, I'm like, man, like, that's good they were here, because things can move quickly from fine to not fine. So, thank y'all for watching this again. I appreciate it. And hopefully someone will benefit from this video.